Welcome to this summary of the 2021 activities of Sigre Australia Panel C6, Active Distribution Systems and Distributed Energy Resources. The scope of C6 is pretty well summarised by its name. It obviously covers DER, the connection of large numbers of small generators to distribution networks, but it also includes storage technologies such as battery energy storage systems, off-grid systems, electric vehicles and rural electrification. Internationally, Study Committee C6 has published two technical brochures this year, TB 826 on hybrid systems for off-grid power supply and TB 835 on rural electrification. Both these technical brochures had a substantial Australian input, with Sasan Zabihi and Ken Ash contributing to the hybrid systems brochure, and Jackie Mills, Shervin Farney, Sam Steinberg and Glenn Summers contributing to the rural electrification brochure, with Jackie Mills serving as the working group secretary. There is also a technical brochure on multi-energy systems which should be published on CIGRE very soon. As you'll no doubt have heard from previous speakers, the postponed 2020 Paris session was to have been held in August this year as a face-to-face event. However, due to COVID, it was held as a virtual session. The COVID situation also meant that there was no face-to-face meeting of the Australian C6 Mirror panel this year, although we did hold a number of teleconferences. For upcoming Study Committee C6 activities, the 2022 Paris session will be held in August next year. The C6 preferential subjects are as shown on the screen. In Australia, we have Cider 2022 to be held in Adelaide. Cider is the conference on integration of distributed energy resources and is run by Sigre Australia Panel C6. This will be the fourth time it has been held, following on from events in Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. It was due to be held this year at the start of November, but had to be postponed due to the COVID situation. The conference is held over 2 days and has received very positive feedback from past participants. It aims to be a practical conference focusing on the integration of DER from a network perspective. Similar to previous years, there will be an NGN session on the Tuesday afternoon. This will be a panel session organised by Sigre's Next Generation Network, the network for members 35 years of age and younger. The NGN session will be followed by a stand-up networking dinner in the exhibition space. We have found this in previous years to be a popular format, allowing delegates to meet and discuss topics of interest. The Cider Conference will be held on 10th and 11th of May 2022 at the Stamford Grand Adelaide Hotel, right on Glenelg Beach. The call for presentations is open until 18th of February and the early bird registration is open until 10th of March next year. We have two keynote speakers lined up. Brendan Hampton, Manager Network Strategy for SA Power Networks, will be speaking on South Australia, the heart of the distributed energy future. Bruce Bennett, Manager Connection and Access for AGL, will be talking on the Dalrymple grid forming battery in South Australia. We also have a panel session on microgrids to be chaired by Jenny Gannon, Manager Generation and Customer Standards for Energy Queensland. Confirmed speakers include Professor Pierre Luigi Mancarella of the University of Melbourne, Albert Paws, Power Quality and Reliability Planning Manager for Endeavour Energy, Sean Elphick of the Australian Power Quality and Reliability Centre at the University of Wollongong, and Dr. Wai-Kin Wong, Senior Manager, Grid Scale Technologies of AGL. We think this will be a great event for anyone interested in this rapidly evolving area. More information is available on the Sigre Australia website for anyone wishing to attend. In the lead up to Cider 2022, we will be hosting a webinar in early March. More details will be available on the Sigre Australia website early in the new year. Returning to overseas activities, Sigre will be holding a symposium in Kyoto in April 2022. This will be co-chaired by Study Committee C6. Members of the Australian C6 panel have had 3 papers accepted for the symposium. Those of you that attended the morning session will have heard that in 2023, Australia will host a Sigre Symposium in Cairns. This is a major event on the Sigre calendar and will be attended by a number of study committees, including C6. Indeed, the idea of holding a symposium in Cairns was championed by the Australian C6 panel, following on from the successful Cider conferences. As such, we'll be looking to hold our Cider 2023 conference in conjunction with the symposium. The date is the 4th to 7th September 2023, and the venue is what will be, by then, the refurbished and expanded Cairns Convention Centre. More details will be posted on the CIGRE Australia website as planning of the event proceeds. In the remaining time left, I would like to touch on some of the issues that are of interest to C6 members, particularly relating to the integration of small-scale DER. Many of the previous concerns around this have not eventuated. This includes things like power quality, harmonics and flicker, number of tap changes at zone substation transformers, and issues with unintentional islanding. One aspect that continues to be a problem is voltage management in LV networks. However, there are an increasing number of tools available to network owners to mitigate such problems. Whereas in the past, the solution to a voltage problem may have been to upgrade the network, other options available now or that are being trialled include low voltage StatComs, voltage regulating distribution transformers, and closed loop voltage control. PV inverters also include features to help with voltage management, such as the so-called power quality response modes. As problems at the distribution level with the integration of PV are being addressed, the sheer quantity of DER installed is starting to create issues at higher levels in the network. This can be seen in differing requirements for rate of change of frequency, under frequency, and vector shift protections. From an anti-islanding perspective, the desire is to have tight settings for these protections to enable fast tripping. However, from a system control perspective, it is preferable to have looser settings so that the DER can stay connected and continue to generate during a system disturbance. It's also becoming very apparent that some sort of control will be required over rooftop PV as the proportion of total load it supplies steadily increases in the system. Continuing on with the themes and issues we're presently seeing, the use of community energy storage continues to grow. This is where a DNSP, possibly in conjunction with a retailer, installs battery energy storage within their network to serve a number of customers. There have been trials and installations in a number of states across Australia. A further trend we're seeing is the use of battery energy storage systems as the centerpiece of a microgrid. These have been successfully installed in a number of locations across Australia. This holds very considerable promise for increasing the reliability of supply to small or remote communities. One issue with such microgrids is in islanded mode in systems with a large amount of rooftop PV. There is the possibility of the PV overcharging the batteries or possibly exceeding the power rating of the best converter. One technique that has been trialled in at least a couple of microgrid installations to manage this issue is to make use of the response of the PV inverter to a change in frequency. When power or charge limits are about to be exceeded, the BESS can increase the system frequency and drive the power output of the PV inverters lower. This can do away with the need for an expensive distributed control system. Another development which is expected to become more common is to disconnect fringe of grid customers from the power grid and install standalone power systems. This can give lower cost, improve reliability, and increase customer satisfaction. This has been trialled in Western Australia with good results. A number of other utilities have also conducted limited trials, although there continue to be regulatory issues which need to be overcome. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you for listening.